Now that we're all set up with our roster, we can go ahead and start sort of planning our next few months. And I like to plan about 3 months in advance when it comes to booking simulators. So let's go ahead and look at our full calendar. And you can see we start off on a Wednesday, and that's when we have our weekly show. And we have one every single Wednesday. Our rival has theirs every single Thursday. And we also have a monthly special event, which is on the second to last Saturday of every month. And our rival has theirs the week before. So right now we're building up to the Rio Rumble, and eventually we're going to be culminating sort of the currently planned rivalries that I've got in my head. They're going to be culminating at the Shanghai Showdown. This is what I consider to be PWS's biggest show of the year. So that's where we're going to build all of our current rivalries towards. So before we go ahead and set up our rivalries, I want to set up our champions. So let's go ahead and choose our PWS World Champion, who is going to be AJ initially. Our TV champion is going to be Cody Rhodes. And our women's champion is going to be Rosa Roundhouse. Now, there isn't currently a tag team championship. That's because tag team wrestling isn't supported at this moment in time. However, it is planned for the next big update. I'm hoping in February, March at the very latest, we should have tag team wrestling in PWS. Now that we've got our champions set up, it's time to set up some rivalries. And the first rivalry I want to set up is the big PWS World Championship match at Shanghai Showdown. And that's going to be between AJ Techniques and Danielle Bryan. They are going to put on a hell of a match, both of them. AJ Techniques is rated 96 and Bryan is rated 97. So they're going to steal the show effectively. And the higher rated your show is, the more money you earn. The more money you earn, the longer you can hold on to your talent. For now, it's the only thing you can do with money. But over time, more features will be added where you can make the most of your money. Let's go ahead and add Danielle, and let's go ahead and add AJ. And then you get the option to choose a storyline. Pretty much every pairing of wrestlers will get the option for a basic storyline. Boiling Pot shows up for the vast majority of them. As long as it's some sort of face versus heel, tweener versus heel, tweener versus face, tweener versus tweener combination, Boiling Pot will show up. Now for Danielle and AJ, they have been given the option of Greatest of All Time, which shows up for any two wrestlers that have an overall rating of 92 or higher. And this optimal length is basically trying to convey how long you should have this rivalry going on until you end it. The closer you are to this optimal weeks value, the more over both of these wrestlers will come as a result of this rivalry. And ultimately, that's the goal of rivalries within PWS. If rivalry goes really well, and by that I mean it's high rated, you end it in the optimal weeks, it's got a lot of heat, then both wrestlers will improve their popularity quite a lot. Let's go ahead and choose the Greatest of All Time rivalry, because we do want to end it in about 3 months from now, and it's quite a high rated rivalry. So let's start that. Now, the next big match I want at Shanghai Showdown is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Romain Blaines for the TV title. But I'm not going to set up that rivalry just yet. First, I'm going to set up a number one contenders rivalry, and that is going to be between Dean Moxler and Romain Blaines. The number one contender storyline is available to two wrestlers who are both main eventers who don't hold the title. I'm going to start that rivalry. And that rivalry is going to conclude the Real Rumble, because the optimal week for that was about 4 weeks, which is fine. The next match I want for the women's title is going to be Rosa Roundhouse versus Becca Lynn. And again, for that, before I set up that rivalry, I want a number one contenders rivalry. So we're going to have Becca Lynn and Lottie Flair. Once again, number one contender, start that rivalry, and that will also culminate at the Real Rumble. The next big match I want is Christopher Judas versus Ken Alpha, but the storyline that I want actually isn't available until I turn Chris either face or as a tweener. So that's what I'll do at the next show, and I'll add that rivalry after then. Next match I want is Jimmy Gargantuan versus Peter Brun. And because both of these wrestlers have the technician gimmick, the technical mastery storyline is available to them, and that's quite a lucrative storyline there. So let's go ahead and start that one as well. Now, the last rivalry I have in mind has nothing to do with Shanghai Showdown, but it's a good way to boost these two wrestlers, and that is Prince Imran and Tommy Hayden. Now, because these both are rookies, we have the New Kids in Town storyline that's available. And for two openers, a 3-star storyline could do them a lot of good if it's executed well. So let's go ahead and start that. That's it for rivalries for now. I will be adding more over time, obviously, as our show develops. And we'll be checking in on these existing rivalries as we book our shows. So without further ado, let's book our first show. Now, I mentioned I wanted to turn Christopher Judas, so let's go ahead and put him in a match to open up the show. We can do that as a singles match. Go ahead and find Christopher Judas. Now, because there's a heel, he's more likely to have better chemistry in ring with another face. If we go ahead and tap on more info, he's got a lot of charisma. So he's probably more likely to gel with someone in ring with a lot of charisma. That's sort of how the ratings are determined. It's actually a machine learning model, so there's no hard and fast rule on getting wrestler chemistry right. So you do kind of just have to use your judgment as best you can. Let's go ahead and select Chris, and let's find a face that's high rated with a lot of charisma. I think Dean Moxley's probably a good choice. He's got a lot of charisma. He's also rated quite highly. Yeah, let's go ahead and select Dean. We'll actually have Chris go over. In my head, you know, they had a good match and they shook hands afterwards. And that's sort of what's going to incite this turn. Now, the main show booker just wants you to get all the basics in, just so you can book as quickly as possible. Things like, you know, putting titles on the line, turns and stuff like that. That's all in the segment extras. So if I wanted to add a stipulation to this match, I could. But I want to turn Christopher Judas tweener. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Got our first segment set up, so I'm just going to go ahead and check out our rivalries. Let's see what else we got. And it's perfectly fine for me to close that show booking window. That data won't be lost. I can go back to that, no problem. So I'm going to set up our main event. We'll start cooking up the Bryan and Techniques feud. We'll put them both in a match, and we'll have Techniques go over. You know, we'll go for a kind of storyline where Bryan, you know, insists that he can win, kind of thing, and he keeps wanting this rematch. So let's book that. Now, we do need to actually go ahead and progress this rivalry ourselves within segment extras. So go ahead and tap that, and we'll actually also put the title on the line. Great. What else do we have? Moxley and Blaine's. Okay, we could set that up in an angle. We don't need a match for that. We could have an angle, and we could just have them both on a talk show. Let's have, where is he? Moxley, remain. And this will just sort of plant the seeds, I suppose, for that little feud. And we will progress that rivalry. What else we got? Becca Lynn and Lottie Flair. We could have them in, you know, a fatal 4-way match or something. Becca Lynn wins. Yeah, let's go for that. So we can have that as the third segment. Fatal 4-way. Becca Lynn. You can see this match booker is very intuitive. It's very quick to go through. And that has been the main goal here. What am I looking for? Lottie Flair. Who else can we throw in here? Let's just throw in... yeah, let's get Bailey in there. And let's get Ray Ripple. Where is she? There. So Becca Lynn wins. She can start parading around that she's the rightful champion. Or rightful #1 contender. And in fact, we can even, in the next segment... Oh, not a video package. In the next segment, we can even have her in a backstage interview. And that will hopefully give her a bit of a push. A backstage interview can actually boost charisma, which is a welcome addition. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then later on in the show, perhaps segment 7, we could have an assault. And that could be Lottie. And Becca. You know, she's not happy with that. We do have to keep in mind that we want to sustain a good rating for this show as well. So I don't really want to stick Imran and Hayden in a segment by themselves. So let's put them in a triple threat and let's weigh them out with a very, very highly rated wrestler. John Cena's not doing anything at the minute, so let's have him just go over these two chumps. But we can still progress that rivalry, that's not a problem. Did I progress rivalry in this assault? No. That is something I hope to solve in the future. Be able to have rivalries automatically progress without you manually having to do it in segment extras. Let's have a confrontation. And that will be between Peter Brum and Jimmy Gargantuan to progress their rivalry. We don't have to progress every rivalry every week, but it's advised. So for example, the Lottie Flair and Becca Lynn rivalry, we've progressed it twice in one show. So we can probably get away with not featuring them at all in next week's show. I'm happy with that show. Let's go ahead and book it. Oh no. An injury already in my very first segment. It would be my luck. Christopher Judas has suffered a muscle strain. They put on a great match, but he suffered a muscle strain. What am I supposed to do now? Oh God. All right, at least I can show off how injuries work earlier than I'd anticipated. But Christopher Judas's turn did complete successfully. All right, good ratings. Oh wow, John Cena still wasn't able to pull up the poor ratings of Prince Imran and Tommy Hayden there. Okay. Of course, Techniques and Brian put on a 5-star match. Wow. Oh, well that hurts.